I don't think Immortals is going to make the same mistake they did last playoffs.
No one was saying that TSM would win this, let alone in a clean sweep over Immortals, who were 17-1.
What a shocking result.
We've learned our mistakes from last time.
This time, I really want to win semifinals.
Immortals, when they win, usually get advantages everywhere. When they start to get a disadvantage, they can get blown open pretty easily.
We have never lost against C9, basically, in the regular season.
Immortals, 2-0 versus Cloud9.
We have improved a lot, so I do think we have a pretty good shot at beating them.
That's 20 for Jensen.
This match is going to be what takes us to Worlds.
This time, we have to win.
Welcome to the North American League Championship Series semifinal live from Los Angeles, California. Now the stage is set for our first team to step up to the finals and reach for the North American crown. As you can see, the audience has plenty of energy and they're ready for the games, as are Cloud9, Sneaky, and Jensen, who arrived to the arena earlier today. They're looking to return to postseason glory today against Immortals. Pobelter, the man in the mid lane for Immortals, going to be going up against Jensen. We'll see how he does. There's going to be quite a spotlight on that mid lane matchup. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, I'm James Dash Patterson alongside our analyst Mark Zimmerman and Alberto Crumsrangifo. Gentlemen, semifinal time. We've got our top 4 teams in NA all poised for some great best of 5s. Are you ready for the same?
Yeah, I'm going to be really looking forward to that mid lane matchup. I know we're going to highlight it a ton throughout the day. I'm sure there's a second stream, all that already dedicated to it. So
I'm looking for 15 games. We had the finals in LCK, semifinals in EU, top it off with 5 games here. That'd make my day.
Yeah, for those of you who hadn't seen, there were 5 games over in Europe. We're hoping for the same here in North America. First off, though, let's load up that playoff bracket. C9, CLG, they advanced to the semis with victories over Envy and Team Liquid. Of course, now turning our attention to what's at stake, though, in this larger scheme of the season. Remember that the North American Finals champion auto-qualifies for Worlds and is awarded the first seed. Now, the second seed NA team will be the team who has accumulated the highest number of championship points between spring and summer of 2016. Now, the third seed comes from the regional qualifier. The 4 playoff teams that are not the first and second seed will compete in a gauntlet for that third slot, which brings us to today's semifinal showdown, which is between Cloud9 and Immortals, the first of 2. Now, I want to look at these 2 teams. Let's start off with Immortals and talk about the keys to success for this team against specifically Cloud9.
Well, Immortals plays aggressive and they look for their fights constantly. Their damage per gold spent is higher in every position compared to Cloud9, so they're a really aggro team. That's what we know and love them for, and they make games bloody. They make you kind of deviate from the plan and focus on whatever they're doing, and if you fall into their trap, you're going to lose.
Now, if you have to point out a lane, though, that's got to step it up for Immortals, which one is the one that's got to make that next level push to get them to the finals?
I think it has to be their bot lane. I think they're by far the least consistent in a sense where, you know, Huni definitely dies a lot, but he'll make plays happen. Pobelter's a rock in mid lane, Rainover's all over the map, and the bot lane is the one that you have to worry about, especially given that Sneaky is such a huge carry for C9.
Very much so. All right, well then on the other side of things, it's understandable, of course, to look at Immortals and call them a clear favorite, but Cloud9, they've been showing some fire lately, so let's assess them as a team and their late season surge almost.
Well, what was interesting was the fact that they seemed to be struggling a little bit in the middle. They had that loss to Team Liquid where people were starting to wonder about them, and then they finished out the season extremely strong and had a great series versus Envy where they lost the first game but seemed to really have control over how they knew what was going to be the important picks and sticking with them. And they've just been seeming to be on the up and up constantly, and I don't think they're going to suddenly slump here.
And speaking of important picks, sticking with smoothly, making sure that they have one guy that's stable on the roster, I think solidifies how they play as a team. It's a lot easier on your teammates when you know exactly who you're playing. It's easier to get along with just one person, kind of pick their brain and understand them, as opposed to trying to mesh with the 2 people every single game.
Yeah, that decision coming in midway through the split for them, as we just saw. Sneaky himself has some pretty sweet statistics when laning with Smoothie, so bodes well for them, particularly as we've moved away from prevalent lane swapping and we get a little bit more of those 2v2s. Now, the big carry for C9 in this split, though, has been Jensen, so it's no surprise that our featured matchup is between Jensen and Pobelter in the mid lane. Let's talk specifically about these 2 guys.
I think the biggest thing that we were talking about a little before was that Pobelter actually is the most efficient mid laner basically in the league, where he has the most damage per gold spent, meaning that he is going to put out the most damage almost regardless of gold income in a sense. So that's an extremely impressive stat, because ultimately the most important thing is damage.
Not only is he the highest in the league, but when we put a microscope on just the mid laners, Pobelter sits in that #1 slot for mid laners in terms of damage dealt for gold spent, whereas Jensen actually sits in 9th. So in terms of how he's maybe in a sense using his gold, not as efficient, but it also just speaks to the amount of gold that Jensen is getting.
Which is huge because in the matchup against Envy, Jensen was getting such massive leads in the mid lane just by himself, and being able to translate those, even that means that if he's against Pobelter, even if he gets those leads, unlike the Envy matchup where Ninja didn't find enough room to have an impact, I think that Pobelter, regardless of how he lanes into Jensen, which I don't think will be falling too far behind, maybe even getting ahead and getting solo kills, hopefully, or maybe lots of roams, I think that he'll be able to have a much bigger impact on the game and still be a force to be reckoned with.
Right, I think it's just kind of two different styles where obviously Immortals tries to put a lot more resources into the top half of the map, and what's nice is that obviously Pobelter is still performing without getting that kind of focus, whereas C9 clearly puts a little bit more emphasis around getting Jensen ahead, and he's often targeted by enemies more as well.
Yeah, the play styles between these two teams and the way that they approach the game, either who they choose to carry or they move around the map, makes for a very exciting matchup between these two teams specifically. Now, we're spending summer playoffs revisiting a split full of huge plays and memorable moments, and we want to invite you to contribute your favorite memory to the conversation on Twitter. So hit us up at LOLesports using the hashtag LOCKIN, and keep an eye out for your submissions throughout the playoffs. And if you haven't booked your trip to Toronto, you still have an opportunity to snag tickets. The third place match takes place on August 27th at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. Be a part of the North American Summer Playoffs and see two of the best teams in the region battle it out live. Head on over to lolesports.com/tickets and secure your seat for the third place match on Saturday while you still can. Now today, NALCS 2 is online and bringing you an alternate stream experience focused on that mid lane matchup. So join Pastry Time guests Golden Glue and Alex Each as they break down high-level strategy and talk shop about Pobelter and Jensen in that mid lane. Former NA champion Meteos, though, is back at the top of the NALCS, but the road that he took to this point, my goodness, has been filled with personal challenges. Take a look.
I'd say for the beginning of my career, I was always doing really well, and it made it so it's really easy to be confident. I didn't exactly realize the things I was doing wrong back then. You know, like, it seemed right because, you know, I'm doing this thing, we're winning all of our games.
Well, Meteor's great vault breaker there, high as well. Real flash forward for the pulse, and that's going to be yet another kill. Meteor's everywhere today.
In the C9, there was always some issues within the team, even when we were winning. But we were just so much better than everyone else that the issues never really came to light. But when we start doing bad, and then there's a lot of disagreements on the team, and then Jensen came in, and me and him didn't really see eye to eye either.
Meteos is a guy that really wants to win, so if things aren't going very well, he'll often get frustrated, and I think he just realized we weren't getting anywhere.
It felt like I was kind of thrown into a position where I was supposed to lead the team, but we didn't really work well as a team.
Someone suggested that we just try a game with like High, and then Meteos was watching it on that, and he saw how the team was playing with High, and he realized that stepping down would be the best thing for the team.
I kind of just wanted to take a step back and be like, I want to see someone else try jungling for this team and see if it's possible, or see if it's something I need to work on.
He took one for the team, stepping down, letting us go forth with High.
I'd say when I left the roster, I wasn't really feeling great. It took a big toll on my confidence. When I was taking a break, it gave me an opportunity to stream a lot. I got to connect with fans when I wasn't able to before. And then I just sort of tried to focus on my play as well as just myself as a person, you know, try to be a more agreeable person, try to treat people around me better. I think after playoffs of Spring Split, someone from C9 came to me and they're like, hey, do you want to try playing some scrims with the team? Came in and tried playing some games, and it went pretty well. And then we just decided to have me play.
Meteos going to be back in the jungle for Cloud9 today, our first NALCS MVP.
I think that Reaper had a big part in helping me and Jensen get along better. We had a lot of time where we were playing with other people, obviously, so some of the issues that we were just really disagreeing on, just got to see other perspectives of things. Me and him both weren't the best teammates, I guess. I remember there's this quote Reaper said to us that kind of resonated with me. It was, everyone's right in their own mind. You know, like no one's gonna knowingly do the wrong thing. Say like someone gets ganked, and then I'm gonna be like, why are you feeding their jungler? And then they'll be like, well, I wasn't trying to, you know, it just happened. Did I need to go up there and help him? Should he have warded? Even if two people don't agree, there's other perspectives, like other ways you can look at the problem to get on the same page.
I could also just go on mid right here.
Okay.
I can walk up towards mid.
It's done.
Nice jump.
Now I've definitely seen that the way I've thought about the game, the way I've played does have flaws, and it's stuff that I've been working to improve on. I'm not the best player, not the best jungler, so I can learn from those who are better than me. I think that if I just put a lot of effort into it, I can keep getting better.
Welcome everyone to the